Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel today. I'm Kevin and today we're back to our first World War topic. So in our last topic we already talked about Eastern Battlefield. So today we are going to talk about not about let's say physicals or neither about biological or even mental. Today we're not talking about blaze, about the mind, about ghosts or anything. We're going to talk about some things that maybe this is the first time that in the history there is some, let's say some countries has used such a horrible things in the First World War. So today we're going to talk about chemicals weapon. So we could, and also we could call it about the biological weapons. I don't know whether you call chemicals or biological is fine. Okay, so our main character today is, yep, the Germany again. So after 6 months of savage fighting on the Western Front, Ypres was still in the Allied hand. Allied soldiers occupied a bunch of land around the town which jutted deep into enemy's lines. Here, German commander used a terrifying new weapons to make, you could say, to make a way and break the statement. This is called the ghostly cloud. A ghostly cloud. So as somebody, some of you guys could know that the bird was known as the Ypres Special, or you could say the Salient. It was heavily defended with trenches and artillery, and many believed that the Germans would never cross through it to come to Ypres. But on April 22 in 1915, French trenches north of Ypres noticed a very ghostly yellow-green cloud slowly coming to their territory. And of course, they watched in horror as the cloud inches closer and closer to the place. And when it touched them, their throats and eyes began to burn in veins. And of course, Germans had opened 6,000 canisters of deadly chlorine gas. This gas was heavier than air. So when it get out of the air, it's staying down the ground. So it makes sure that the soldiers could touch it easily. And of course, the gas streamed into the Allied trenches, poisoning every hiding place, even the smallest, and the French troops trying to run for cover, screaming and dying as they are lured away. And by releasing this gas, which they first used on the First World War, it's of course that the Germans had broken the whole international agreement, because before that there was already international agreements about using the chemicals to attack. That they banned chemicals. This caused so many problems after the war end. So the world had decided to ban it. But of course, they crossed the line, and they are not the only one doing it. So before this event, just few years ago, the French gunners had fired tear gas shells at the enemy in the previous years. Tear gas causes clogging and sore eyes, going to make the enemies, let's say, meeting difficulties to see and to talk, so that they broke their own team. But of course, it didn't kill. But on the other hand, chlorine, or you could say, chlorine is a dangerous thing. When it touches the human body, it's burned from their eyes, their throat, their lungs. And it will go into burn until the lungs are bubbling with the pain and with the damage that is take. And that's why the enemies, or you could say the soldiers, cannot breathe anymore. It is a very agonizing way to die. And until the Allies developed more effective protection against the chlorine mist, the soldiers has to improvise. The Scottish troops using goggles and cotton masks with water to prevent the chlorine, or you can say chlorine, to go into the lungs. And after that, the German soldiers known, or you could say, this is things that we must know, that before the attack made by chlorine mist happened. German soldiers that was taken prisoners by the Allies had reviewed the German plan to release the chlorine gas, but this warning was ignored. Some British generals think that the Germany will never use gas as a weapon to attack them because it depends too much on the air, and if the air changed suddenly, it would become a two-headed knife that it could kill their own user. And of course, as it relied too much on the direction of the wind. But the new weapon had devastating effect at Ypres, since the German general has guessed the direction of the wind so good, so it's not going to be something that bite back at them. And of course, the German infantry stormed through the 6 kilometers, or you could say 4 miles gap left in line by the retreating French soldiers. By nightfall, the Germans were only 3 more kilometers from Ypres and had started digging in. The German raiders wore cloth masks over their face so that they could protect their own eyes, throat, and lungs from their own poison. The mask protect the eyes, and it also filter the gas out of the air that they breathe. But the Allies quickly discovered how to make a simple gas mask too. This thing is not a professional mask, which means that it's what made by improvising, but it's still working good because the French and Scottish people, soldiers, figure out that the chlorine will, let's say, got stuck into water. So in that way, they could use the mask, as I say, with cotton and also goggles with water, make the mask wet so that when they breathe, they're safe. Okay, and of course, after that, the Canadian and British troops wore rag masks over their face and fought hard to defend their territory and trenches. The Second Battle of Ypres, as it became known, rages on until the end of May. The Germans gained some ground, but they still haven't prepared to take all the success of the attack. And of course, if they had enough men, they might have captured the whole salient and cracked the western front. But they ran out of troops and supplies before they could seize Ypres. The gas attack shocked the world, but Allied forces quickly began to use their own chemical weapons too. More effective gas masks were invented, and the soldiers gradually learned how to deal with this horrible poison. And of course, gas from that time just become one more hazard in brutal and unrelenting war. Still, it's become usual, and let's talk like it's fixable, or you could say that we could deal with it anytime when it happened. It become a usual things in war. When the biologically war happened or the chemistry war happened, everybody try to learn new things to protect themselves from the chemicals and from the gas. So that means they developed their own plans, and also the technologies grew up so that they could protect their own self. And those things, even when it seems very hilarious and so dangerous for the world, but it's something that absolutely made the world better and turn it into a better, a better self, because it's make the world changing. Everybody trying to develop the medicine for the gas, trying to wear masks, trying to learn new things on how to improvise when there's a poison attack. And that's why the whole world know about how to using chemicals, and that's why we have chemistry today. Okay, so that's all I want to talk with you guys today about the deadly myths of Germany and the tear cells of the French. So that's all I want to say. Thank you for listening, and our videos is a little bit too long, so this will be the end of our video today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.